This episode is sponsored by Egghead's Diner, a classic American diner located in Gloucester Point, Virginia. The diner offers a variety of breakfast and lunch options, and producer Roy says be careful if you're on a diet. The next time you're in Virginia, check out Egghead's and tell them we sent you.
Auto sequence start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Katie Leigh, and happiness is waking up in the morning.
Okay, Katie Leigh, really nice to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And you are a very talented voice artist with lots of award-winning experience, pretty much every genre, right?
Yep, pretty much. Yeah. I think the only thing I haven't done is, what do they call audio description for TV?
Oh, okay. So that's probably pretty much the only thing you've not tackled.
As far as I know, but who knows?
You've worked with a lot of fun brands, I guess you'd say, the Muppet Babies, Disney, but also like e-learning and toys, right? Mm-hmm. Games.
Yeah, I do a lot of that, and I really like doing it. I love the educational and non-political aspect of it.
Yes. Is that a different, kind of walk us through that? What's different when you do the games and toys? I guess there's just not as much of the internal politics. Right?
Yeah, most of the stuff I do is for, younger kids.
Yeah.
So, basically it's teaching the alphabet or phonics, or I've been working with another company that I think a lot of homeschoolers use their curriculum. So we've done second, third, and fourth grade, history and science and math and all your basic things that, everybody needs to learn. So, and e-learning companies will do animation to try to make it entertaining. So you get to play characters when you're doing it and you're teaching at the same time. So it's fun.
That's awesome. So you still get to use your talents, but kind of in a different way, a different application.
Yeah.
Well, take us back to the beginning. How did you get involved in this crazy, interesting career?
Yeah, well, I guess I was a good student who talked too much. But when I got out of high school, people told me that I sounded younger than I was, and that maybe I should consider doing voiceover. And so I thought, well, maybe I can make some extra money doing that. And I explored it, and I ended up getting a degree in broadcasting in the meantime. And I had done improvisational theater. And when I graduated college, I was like, okay, now what? Do I be a producer? And everybody said, go to LA. And it was the right place at the right time. And I said, well, I'll give it a couple years and see what happens. If I can make a living, great. If I can't, I got to go find something else to do. So
go to a plan B.
When the check cleared, we were good.
Where were you from originally? You moved to LA to follow this?
Well, I'm originally from LA.
Okay.
And I was living in the Bay Area up in San Francisco. So I wasn't keen on coming back to Los Angeles because I liked it up there. But I needed to get work. So I came back to LA. It's like when we grow up here and everybody wants to be an actor. And that really wasn't on my radar. When I went to school, I thought I was going to be a executive secretary or a teacher. It just wasn't anything I knew. But, one thing led to another, and here I was. And I was in San Francisco. I called my agent to see about getting representation, and usually the receptionist answers. But that day, that moment, the agent in the voiceover department was covering for the receptionist who was on lunch or something. So she heard my voice immediately and wanted to meet me. I was very, very blessed.
Wow. It's funny how those things happen, isn't it? I mean, just right place at the right time. And what do they say? It's like when luck
preparation meets opportunity. Yeah.
There you go. That's, I believe in that. I think that's very true, and just how things happen.
Yeah.
Did you, when you were a very young child, did you know you wanted to do something with your voice, or did you just people told you you sounded younger than you were, and that kind of
when
led
I
you?
got older, people told me that. When I was younger, I used to imitate. In my head, I thought I was imitating. I loved comedy. I loved Carol Burnett. I loved, cartoons and comedians were like my idols, and I would parrot things. But so a big part of voiceover is your listening skills and what you hear and how you can reproduce characters and sounds. So in animation especially, there's a lot of comedy, so having a sense of humor is really important. I didn't think about it. I came from kind of a funny house. My mom would make jokes a lot. We had comedy record albums, so it was sort of in my blood to try to be funny. But
Yeah.
I didn't ever think I was going to be an actor. I wasn't in the drama department in high school. I didn't do any of that, but I was the person who ran the projectors.
Yeah.
Who moved you guys are so young, but in high school, I was in the AV department. That's what they called it. One of my classes was setting up the film projector for the classes, or the VHS machines when we got those.
Oh, yeah. I remember those projectors. Yeah. That was like, you knew that was a break in the day, right? Everybody loved when the projector came out.
She ordered a movie. The teacher ordered a movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Ate up part of the day, which was always great. So it sounds like comedy was in your blood. That kind of came first, and then the voiceover stuff came after. But it does sound like you guys were a funny family and loved comedy and loved to kid around a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was a big part of growing up. My mom she always had something to say about something, some quip about, or a joke. So I still remember all my mom's jokes when it seems appropriate. They pop into my head. Yeah.
That's great. To carry your mom with you like that. That's awesome.
Because your show's about happiness, right?
Right.
Yeah. And, I'm not sure where you're coming from, but like one of my favorite Bible verses is the joy of the Lord is my strength. And so I think it's really important to find the humor in things.
I love that. Yes, absolutely. I think even when it looks pretty dark, I think if you can find something to lighten the load a little bit, I think that's just, it's important. It's important to kind of know that this too shall pass,
Yeah. Right. What my mom used to say, what did she say? Might as well laugh, can't dance, or something silly like that. But yeah, life is so up and down all the time. Yep. And you can always find, and when I teach voiceover, one of the points I like to make with the students is the more serious you are about who you are, the funnier it is. Like people who are really, really angry are really, really funny, and people who are, whatever. So it's like real emotions taken to an extreme, and that's what entertains people, because they see themselves in the situation, but it's too extreme. So they don't see each other in a way that makes them embarrassed. We can laugh when we see ourselves, or we see our reactions taken to an extreme. And that's what comedy is kind of all about. And timing.
Yeah. Timing is huge. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you have good, it's an artistry. I think if you have good timing, that's what comedy is all about. I think if you're able to.
I don't know if I know that we're talking about voiceover, but I've also written a humorous 12-step book. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes, I didn't think you did, but it's called The Itty Bitty Book of Codependency.
Oh, wow.
So it's a comic book. Yes.
Nice. When is that brand new?
Well, it came out last year, a year and a half ago, and it's on Amazon and autographed copies through my website. But it's let's see. Let me put on my glasses. I'll tell you what it says. It says, in this book, you will find entertaining and brain-tickling drawings that expose unhealthy motivations, raise awareness, and encourage recovery from self-destructive behaviors. May you graduate with honors. Codependent you.
That's awesome. Do you think that, I mean, what a cool way to kind of help people through something. I mean, that's just a different approach.
I'm really thankful. My friends have, people who recognize themselves just go nuts when they see it. They think it's really funny because, like, oh no, this is my life. But it's
about me.
A way of making, suggestions and not hitting people over the head. And we try to be funny. Like, I couldn't put this book down because I promised I would read it. I know plenty of friends who need this book, and I'm going to borrow it from them when they're done reading it.
That's great. I love that. Where can people get Amazon? It's out on Amazon?
Itty Bitty Book of Codependency, yes.
That is awesome. And you can go to the website and get autographed copies.
Yes. And trying to get it in bookstores, that's my goal. So, I think when we see ourselves and we can laugh, we can say, oh, yeah, it's easier to, just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true. We were talking about emotion and how important that is, and especially in voiceover. Do you ever, like in the process for people who don't know, how do you get yourself, I guess, into the mood if it's a comedy or if you're especially doing something that you maybe don't see the video yet? Is that tough to kind of put yourself into that character?
No, we usually don't see the video.
Okay.
I mean, because what our job is to create the character and the situation so the animators can draw to what we've done. But if the script's written well, you can find, especially if you can have the other actors to play off of, that helps. And, there's a director usually, so they can kind of tell you what they're looking for. And I think you just have to really commit to whoever your character is.
Yeah.
And like I said, if it's supposed to be funny, then we got to find ways to find the funny and make it funny. Your delivery, your speech pattern, your, I do a workshop. I work with, there I go. I'm on camera here and I'm playing with my nose. Okay.
Oh, don't worry. We can,
very
you're
nice.
fine.
But I work with the Global Voice Acting Academy. And so we've been doing workshops I created to just read the same line different ways. And it doesn't matter. I try to stress, it really doesn't matter what the words are. It matters who you are and how you say it.
Right.
Why you say it. What's your point in saying it? How are you feeling when you say it? And that really makes the difference. It can't just any line at all. Like if I told you, Jason, okay, here's your line. Please come in. You go to the door. The line is, please come in. How would you say it?
Oh, gosh. Just normally, I guess, please come in.
Okay, now, somebody you really can't stand. How would you say it?
Same line. Please come in.
Right? Okay.
Just a little bit of...
Somebody you absolutely haven't seen in years, and they just showed up at your door.
Oh, please come in.
Yeah. Somebody you're afraid of.
Please come in.
Okay. And now you're a king. How would you say it?
Please come in.
Oh, you could be a little more royal than that, can't you?
I don't know how I would be royal. Please
British?
come in.
Please come in.
Please come in.
Yes. Come on, yes. So, the same line just depends who's saying it.
Yeah. But you kind of do you get a backstory of what the character, even if it's an animation, you kind of know where okay.
Oh, yeah, they usually do. Sometimes they do. Most of the time they do. Sometimes they give you so much information.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that helps because it gives you an idea of who you are, who you think other people are, what's going on, we say, what's your motivation, but why are we saying what we're saying?
Yeah.
What's the point? Just like that little exercise. Why are you saying, please come in? Are you afraid somebody's going to shoot you if you don't invite them in?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Please come on in. I'm dialing 911 on my phone.
Right. That's one thing I've noticed, like looking at your examples and doing some research on you, it's really blew my mind how you can take your voice and just by tone and different ways to become any character and a range of characters. Is that just a learned skill, or is that you're very talented at that? So is that hard to project in different ranges?
Thank you. I think part of it is just, I didn't realize, I'm kind of old now, but about maybe 10 years ago, I realized I actually have about a 3-octave range. I didn't know that before because I'm not a singer. I didn't think about it. So I do have a range in my voice, but I think a lot of it has to do with someone's willingness and ability to play.
Yeah.
And to have fun and project different characters. And also, listening. I watched a lot of stuff growing up. I have a lot of, visual and audio information in my head from watching movies and TV growing up. And one of the fellows I work with, he says, when I was a kid, I had all these voices in my head. And when I got older, I got them all jobs. But, because I do sound younger, so it's easy for me to sound little, but I have to listen to see how kids talk, and you got to think about how they talk and how they breathe and stuff like that. And then, of course, if you're somebody who's older, you're going to have a little bit of different affectation. If y'all come from the South, you can, I don't know if I sound like I'm from Tennessee or not. Probably more like Texas, I guess. I reckon. I don't know. Kentucky, I don't know. You just pick up accents. So I think some people have more of a facility for those things than other people. I also like to learn other languages too.
Yeah. Have you done a lot of voiceover in other languages?
I have done a lot in Spanish. Although I haven't practiced so much lately. I've done Spanish. Years ago, I did, people helped me. There's a little Italian, Swahili, German. Because I learned some, because I knew I was going to Germany, so I had a little bit of, so if you have an ear for it and you can, pronunciation is okay. A lot of that was like background stuff in movies. When I used to work on movies a lot, they use different languages. A lot of kids in Spanish. Yeah. There's an app called Oh Noah of PBS Kids, so we teach Spanish to kids. So I'm a grandma. Spanish and a little girl in Spanish and a polar bear speaking Spanish.
Wow. That's a range. That's awesome.
I know. Yeah. Mira, Noah, es pequeño. That's a little of the sister and, Noah, leche. Vamos a leche.
Wow.
Vamos a sacar una leche. Yeah. So, you just pretend. It's just pretending you're that person.
Yeah. Do you ever have to have those two characters, for instance, have a conversation back and forth, or do you cut one side and then do the other?
Well, it depends how comfortable I'm feeling doing both voices. Sometimes I'll say, let's do all the boys first.
Okay.
Because they're usually lower range. And my voice gets higher as the day goes on.
Okay. So,
I'll do the deeper voices in the morning, try to do that because you wake up and your voice is more like this. And then as you get older, you can, later on in the day, you can get really high.
Wow.
Just depends.
Man, that is so great. You're so talented. That's so wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Did you ever, as a kid, you remember the old, I guess, what was the company? Rankin Bass with the Rudolph. And did you ever watch those think, oh, wow, those were, because I just think about that voiceover and how different it must have been back then when they created it. It just fascinates me how that was put together.
Oh, you mean the stop motion?
Yeah, the stop motion and the voices.
Yeah,
and,
I actually got to go to a set once. There was a Curious George stop motion set, and that was fascinating. I really dug that. That was cool.
That's really cool. Yeah, that whole process is, gosh, so painstakingly. I think it just would be tough to put that together.
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you do when you're not doing a podcast?
Oh, we are actually a media production company. So we pitch things and we produce stuff for corporate entities and nonprofits, and then we pitch our own stuff and create shows like this podcast. And we're doing a new one it's a news and information podcast. We're getting ready to start producing. So yeah, it keeps us busy. It's such a crazy industry right now.
That's neato. Well, I'm always available. This is my home
I'd love
studio.
to work together.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm going to
I'd love
pitch myself right now in public.
Go right ahead. I would love that. I was going to actually ask you before we ended if I could stay in touch with you, and because I know we'll be able to use you.
Absolutely. And you know what? If I'm not the right person for the job, I just really pride myself in helping people find someone who is the right person for their job. I know lots of people, and I love getting people work. But they're building something. Are you near Pigeon Forge?
I am, yes.
Okay,
not too far.
So do you know they're building the Truth Traveler? Have you heard? It's a experience, Truth Traveler, and I'm the voice of the robot that they're building. It's a 4D virtual reality thing, and it should be ready in March.
Very cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
awesome.
I hope to see it. I hope so.
I'll take a picture and I'll send it to you if we go up there. That'd be great. I'll remember that.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Atlanta in March, so maybe I can drive up there and see it.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be awesome.
Finished. They're building it in Pigeon Forge and then one in Branson. And I was able to recommend a bunch of my a few of my friends who got voiceover roles in it. So it's really fun to be able to work with friends.
It absolutely is. I was just going to ask you, the industry is so crazy. Do you think that is relationships? Do you think that's a big part of finding new work and new leads in this industry right now? Do you think that's a big part?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think? This is my truth duck. It says, is this not supposed to squeak? Wait. Yes. My truth
Got
duck.
a confirmation.
Yes. Well, we do our own podcast too.
Oh, you do?
I don't know if we have a show. It's on YouTube and Patreon supported called Tell You Later.
Oh, I did see that on your website. Yeah, I didn't. I was going to ask you about that. I didn't know what that was. That's awesome.
Check it's on patreon.com, Tell You Later, but also on YouTube. We kind of, the first 2 years are on YouTube. The other second, we've been doing it about 4 years. I started it with my buddy, Will Ryan, and unfortunately he passed away when we like 9 months after we started, but
I'm sorry.
Pretty much continued it on my own. It's not the same, but a lot of people who like the show started tuning in. We kind of did it during COVID, and he and I both worked on a radio show called Adventures in Odyssey. And a whole bunch of other cartoons together. So we'd been working in the business a long time.
Is that still going on?
Yeah.
Odyssey?
Yeah. We just recorded last week.
Wow. Where can people find
37 years. I've been playing the same character.
Wow.
Yeah. Connie Kendall. Yeah.
Where can people find that if they want to check that out?
Oh, well, they can go to witsend.org and they put up an episode every day, I think, on the internet. But also there's an app called the Adventures in Odyssey. What's it called? It's on my phone. Oh, the Adventures in Odyssey Club, and people can join and they have access. We have over 1,000 episodes now. And I think like there's a radio station called One Place or something that broadcasts. It's still broadcast on a lot of Christian radio stations around the world, but it's also on the internet. Yeah.
That's got to be one of the longest running shows then, if it's been around that long.
I think we're a year older than The Simpsons.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was that early 90s, is that right? Or late
87.
80s? 87, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
It is crazy. I mean, it's crazy. Usually in this business, you don't find things that last that long, but that's good for you.
I'm
that's great.
Incredibly thankful. It's just, amazing and wonderful. And we had a big old celebration in Colorado Springs this summer, and we did 2 live shows with 3,000 people in each audience. So yeah, it was
That's
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. That's awesome. Do you find being in the business and working like on a show like that and just where it's constant, do you ever worry about, your voice or something happening or have you ever gone to a situation where you've lost your voice or lost some work?
Video games will, first of all, let me dispel any myths. We only record Odyssey 4 times a year. So it's not constant. People think I do it 9 to 5 every day, and I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
But we do audition all day. So I'm always auditioning. Yeah, you have to be careful. I mean, sometimes... I'm also the voice of Lily for Lily's Lab, which is a TV show on Answers.tv. So last week we recorded 12 episodes. We did season 3, and we knocked them out in 2 days. So by the time that was over, I had... Because she talks like this, and she's got lots of energy, and after a while, because I'm that kind of person who just wants to get things done. But by the end of the day, I was like, okay, break out the ginger tea. Let's chill out for
take care of that instrument.
You got to give your voice a rest. Yeah.
Wow. I was going to ask you if there's certain things you do, or if you have a ritual like at night to kind of soothe your voice or get it back into.
I mean, if it was really bad, like I said, there's throat coat tea. There's not talking. Steaming. Steam is nice if you need it, I mean, and you want to be careful not to book a job that's going to hurt your voice. Or if it pays a lot of money, you just take the next day or 2 off and try not, just recover. Because it's kind of, depends. What's the ROI?
Right. We're always looking for that. What's the, Is
that ROI or ROR? Rate of return?
Rate of return or return on investment.
Return on investment, yeah. So obviously, because we're our own product.
Yeah.
I'm my own instrument. I mean, what a wonderful, wonderful career. I don't need really anything. I mean, I need a booth and a microphone, but you're just creating stuff out of thin air. It's beautiful, amazing. It always blows me away that, that's what we do. I don't have to wear makeup. I don't have to wear certain clothes. Just do it.
Just go in the booth and is that in a way more pressure that it is your voice and that is your instrument? And do you have pressure on yourself? Like, I've got to nail this. I've got to get this character right.
No.
You just do it, right? Just do the work.
Well, once you're hired, I mean, you always hope, like we never would tell anybody we've even done a job until I shouldn't even talk about Truth Traveler till I know it's really up and running, because you can get replaced at the last minute, Yeah. And that's the truth. That's how the business works.
That's how it is.
You do your best. And, your audition, we audition all the time. That's really the work. When you get the job, it's like, okay, they liked me. So I think we can work with each other and come up with something. And very rarely will you get replaced, but you might. And I've been replaced. And so, I've learned. I've only been doing this 40 plus years. We don't get too excited about anything. We just go about our business. And if we see it on TV, it means it went to TV.
You made it. Yeah. I guess that's a great way to look at it, though. You have to stay kind of even keeled and not get too down or too up about it. It's just, you got to stay even, right?
Because it's not all up to me. It's such a team. Right. I mean, you work with a group of people, right? It's not just me. We're all a team. We all work together to try to make each other, look good, and hopefully the product will be good and people will like it. It's not just my performance. If you hire me, I need to be responsive to you. I need to show up on time and be nice and, be prepared. Right? Otherwise you'll say, okay, that was fun, but I don't think we're going to use her next time.
Yeah, you have to put, that's absolutely right. And you've got to put your best foot forward in any job, any project, and then
Well,
just
yeah, I mean, when everybody talks about recession and this and that, I remember there
right.
was a big recession in the 80s and my neighbors were losing their jobs and all of a sudden it hit me. I lose my job every day.
Hmm.
Every day. Every single day. Once it's done, we record, you don't know what the next thing is going to be.
Yeah. How do you
So
deal with that? How have
faith,
you faith? Yeah. There you go.
faith and, practicality. There was a
Mm-hmm.
time when things were different in my life and I became a substitute teacher because I needed to do something different instead of just, it's that who moved my cheese kind of syndrome, you go after whatever you have to do. And then I had to sort of reinvent myself. And thank goodness I'm still here. And I'm back
Yeah.
working again, doing what I really love to do.
So have you, I guess during that time, it's sort of you reinvent yourself and kind of pivot. Maybe you're still in the business, but you pivot to maybe what is needed, I guess, right? In order to stay.
Yeah, well, at that time, I was fortunate to meet a bunch of people who were working outside of Hollywood and had their own booths. And, I've only been in Hollywood, so everything was union and everything was going to the studios. But there's all these people like where you live and other parts of the country who are having voiceover careers outside of Hollywood and making a decent living. So I learned how to set up a home studio. I learned, how to find other work outside of Hollywood, outside of my agents, and make new contacts, even though relationships are really important. A lot of jobs I've gotten may have been on places where I auditioned, and some were from people I've met who referred me for things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that
So you
network.
got to stay busy. You got to stay out there and meet people. You can't just sit. I couldn't just sit here all day and wait for things to happen. And I think, people need people, and I'm always excited to meet new people and, find out what they're doing. And, if I can refer them for something, I will. And there's always stuff to learn because the technology changed. When I started, my demo was on a reel-to-reel, right? Now it's just MP3, right? Anybody can do it.
And it's a lot easier to send, right? Because you can just send the files back and forth without big reels.
Then it was CDs, the cassettes, then CDs, and it's just, and we were mailing these things. Now it's like boom, 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 boom. You have to have a website. So I got a website and did things that weren't common for people in LA per se, but were definitely happening elsewhere. And I think it was to my advantage to stay current.
Does AI worry you at all with everything that's going on with voice?
The only thing that worries me is if somebody takes my voice and clones it and doesn't tell me.
Yeah.
So we do have NAVA is the National Association of Voice Actors. They formed, and they have a writer on their website that I recommend. So when I get jobs and contracts, I say, please put this AI writer on there that you're not going to sell my voice print. And you just hope. I mean, you hope even before AI, all these TV stations came out right on cable, and someone would call me, "Hey, I saw your show on this channel." I'm like, "What?" So we'd have to call the union. They couldn't stay on top of things, and you have to file claims. You need your friends to, So if somebody hears me somewhere, let me know.
help you stay on top of
Help
that. Yeah, for sure.
Out. Yeah,
that's right. I think still though people want that authenticity, don't you? I think the AI is out there, and we know that people use that and some voiceover. But I still think that deep down in the details you can tell, and I just feel like a real human voice is. Whenever we can do that, we do it. I mean, I don't really like using the AI stuff because I want that emotion. I want that little detail that that you are going to put into the work that AI can't do. You're going to put something different into that recording.
Well, and I think that's, people who understand the creative process understand the collaboration that goes on between an actor and a director and how you get ideas together and can talk about things. You certainly can't talk to your AI. It all has to come from you.
Right.
I can't worry about that. There's really, things change. Let's face it. And
there's nothing we
there are
can do
things
about
that
it.
I don't have any control over, right?
Yeah, we can't do anything. It's like, the industry is really changing with that. I think it makes me a little nervous, but then like you said, you can't do anything about it. So
you just try to, do your best. Even, I'm not opposed to, there's one website that I put my voice on that supposedly is on the up and up. Like, say I wasn't available, that I could say, try to duplicate my voice for this line or something if you had a pickup or something like that.
Oh, okay.
It could be useful. I think it's called 11 Labs, and I haven't needed it or used it yet.
I've heard of that. I think that's one of the main ones that's out there for.
But people are out there stealing stuff and combining things. And look, YouTube runs stuff, my shows all the time, and I don't get paid for it, do I?
Really? Yeah. Do people take the show and remix it
they put it on YouTube. You can find commercial, all kinds of stuff, right? You can find everything on YouTube now. It's kind of fun because I just saw some stuff from the 80s that I forgot about. I was going down a rabbit hole last night, and it's kind of fun to see. But if there's little clips, but then by the same token, when they're putting up the whole episode that they taped, well, now the whole world can see it, and it's out of my hands. What can I do?
Right. Yeah. There's some things as artists, we put the work out there, and then we kind of unfortunately get chopped out of some stuff as it moves through the system. And
you just have to keep moving forward and creating your own work somehow.
And having that faith. I think, God helps us. I think when we help ourselves, I think if we pivot or we go a different direction and I think he wants us to kind of meet him halfway in that. And then wonderful things happen when you do that.
I kind of have a little different take on it. And that is, I think, God definitely wants us to use our brains and whatnot, but I audition all the time, and most of the stuff I get isn't things I audition for, but I think it's putting that energy out and staying ready that just keeps things in motion, because it just surprises me when I hear from people and weren't even on my radar, but I think it's just this somehow universal energy that gets rewarded somehow. Plus, having that faith, like, okay, you know what? I trust that something's going to come up. And if it doesn't, well, something else will come up.
Yeah, I may have to wait a little bit, but having that faith that knowing it eventually it's going to, and it always, you know what? It always seems to work out, doesn't it?
That's what I've learned as I've gotten older. I panic less, like just chill. If you're having a really slow period, go learn something, go on a vacation, use that time, because we don't appreciate the downtime. And, one of the jokes in our business is, do you know how to get an actor to complain? Give them a job.
That is true. That is true. Wow. You mentioned, we mentioned a little bit about some of the companies that you've worked with. Did you ever, with the Muppet Babies, did you ever get to work with or meet Jim Henson before he passed?
Did.
Did you? What was that like?
It was a dream come true, because I was a huge Muppet fan. And that's something I really purposed. I wanted to work so bad on that cartoon. And I made my agent, when I found out when they were having auditions, I made them get me an appointment the day of the auditions. I studied the Muppets to see what character I could do. And I felt, I don't know why, it's just one of those things. I felt very connected. I understood. I knew who Rolf the dog was, and that's who I was going to be. And my director said I was one of the few people who even knew who Rolf was who auditioned.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. And I grew up with him as a little kid. I watched him on TV. So I was a huge fan. It was just a dream come true as like one of the greatest things in my life. And he came to the first table read, and I was so nervous because I was basically imitating him, right? So I'd say, you read it first. You read it first. Let me hear you do it.
What was he like? Did he support you? And you?
Oh yeah, he was amazing. Just an amazing, amazing man. Very supportive, very kind, very quiet. You know, we didn't do behind the scenes stuff. There's so much stuff behind the scenes that I know nothing about. But he was great. I even got to go see him in London when they were shooting Labyrinth. I happened to be in Europe and knew he was there, and they let me come to the set, and it was great.
Wow. Did he, of course, I'm sure he remembered you when he saw you right away.
Oh, yeah. He knew I was, because he was very involved in making the cartoon, and I think we were on for 8 years.
Yeah, I remember that cartoon running for a long time. Yeah. Wow. It had to be, it's so sad when he passed, and it just the legacy that he built. Yeah. Gosh. For somebody who may be watching this or, you know, wanting to get into voiceover or voice acting, knowing how it's kind of changed, the business has changed since you started, what advice would you give somebody to what should they do to get into this business?
Well, I do know what Rob Paulson says, which is you have to not want to do anything else. I mean, if there's anything else you can do, do it. You know, take classes, read out loud, take improv. If you're talking about animation, that's a big help to be able to, you know, we used to not see our scripts ahead of time. You know, just show up and there's your script. So learning how to be spontaneous, having fun, being big, you know, watch the mediums that you're interested in. You know, the media, if it's radio, listen to radio. If it's cartoons, watch cartoons, see what's happening. And if you want to do character voices, I always say just go get a picture book and read to a kid and come up with character voices. If you can do that and entertain them, that's good. You've got some feedback right there. And you got to learn the technical part. And like we were saying, you're your own CEO. You have to learn the business. So actually, one of the biggest things I would tell people is go to a voiceover conference. That's why I'm going to be in Atlanta in March for VO Atlanta. Go to a conference because you can learn a lot in a weekend, in a very short period of time. And it's worth it because there's so much to know these days. Everybody pretty much has to have their own home studio now. You've got to know what's required. You've got to understand, you know, what people are looking for. And so you can get a lot of information going to a voiceover conference.
Wow. I think what you said, you hit on it perfectly. I think to not want to do anything else. I think that's true for anything that we get involved in. I think that I always tell people too, like you have to fall in love with the business of it as well, because the art is going to be there, but you better know the business of it or you're going to be in trouble, and you better enjoy it because there's going to be some things that are not as fun as doing the job. You know what I mean? It's just, you've got to know that the business inside and out.
Yeah. I mean, it takes time to learn it. So don't be hard on yourself.
Right.
You know, and I always say, try things. See if you like it. Yep. Like some of the classes I teach, I just say, you know, it's like, you know, a real life experience to see if you really like it.
So true. I mean, find out what you love. There's all sorts of different avenues in the industry. So you might like one thing over the other.
I just took a class last weekend in something and I went, no, I don't think I like this. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. But at least you know, right? At least you know it.
You gotta, you know, it takes some investment, but if you think about any other business, voiceover probably takes the minimal amount of investment of you know, if you're starting your own business. So you know, you can't just expect everything to be free.
Right. Yeah, there has to be an investment either of time or money sometimes, but there's always something that I guess it's, a cost of entry, if you will. I mean, there's a way that you got to invest in some of that, whether you're going to conferences or equipment. But I guess now equipment's come down so much.
But there is so much free stuff too online. I know a guy in England who's just brilliantly crafted his career all during COVID, just studying everything he could online. He made his own demo. I mean, he had a lot of other skills that he brought before that, okay? He had gone to college. He was an animator. He knew things, and now he's like a motion capture guy. And we had him on our show, actually, on the Tell You Later show. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of free stuff out there. So take advantage of it. Use your little Google fingers and find out what's out there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We have a whole world of knowledge at our fingertips to learn.
So much more so. When I got on Odyssey, it's because I heard the radio, the precursor kind of some radio drama they had started doing. I heard it on the radio. I had to drive my car to a payphone, look up the company, call them, and I drove over there to meet them. But, I didn't have Google. I had to actually do some analog footwork.
Right.
I met them and, praise God, the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting to me how the worlds come together like that. And you hear something or you see something and then you go after it and you talk to somebody.
It's so much easier to go after stuff these days.
Yeah. Yeah. And I found that if you just reach out and you express true feelings of wanting to know, or, hey, would love to do this. How do I do it? I think people in our business most of the time are kind when it comes to that.
I believe that they're very open. If you seem friendly and people like to help. So
yeah,
with the people who don't give up, who persevere, who are sincere, it just. This person introduces you to this person and it's, it just grows. And I think the people who are complaining, who aren't doing well, are people who complain and don't do well.
Yeah.
That's
true.
I mean, that's been my experience. Like, when people say, I don't know why what do you think? And I'm like, you know what? I just already don't want to be your friend. So sorry about that.
Yeah. I mean, if you just show me that you're trying something out there, and just, I've always found like, just do something, just take a step. It doesn't have to be huge, but if you're feeling that way and you're feeling like you want to give up, just take a step forward. Yeah. And you don't have to see the entire staircase, but just take that one step.
Or
and that
see
leads
who
to
you can help.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. When you're feeling down, I found the best way to feel better is to help somebody else.
Absolutely.
I think that's key.
Yeah.
We do talk a lot about happiness on this podcast, and I know that you've mentioned faith, and I'm the same way, to have faith to get through this crazy world. But are there some go-tos that you have also? Like for someone maybe struggling, and it may be professionally in this industry or just personally, what's your go-to strategy to kind of get through the rough days and times when life doesn't go like you thought it would?
There's a few things. Number one, do whatever you can not to isolate yourself. Call a friend. Go do something, like we said, to help somebody. Yeah. But I also practice this little gratitude thing. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, I just stop and look around and think of 10 things I can appreciate or be thankful for. And to get your mind off yourself. Worship. Think about God. Just get your consciousness off of yourself, because when we're always focused on ourselves, it's just not a good thing anyway. So to change, instead of looking inward, to look outward. Yeah. That's kind of my strategy.
That's a great one. I think it's so dead on. I think because we all need those times when we kind of lose ourselves in helping somebody else. It takes, I've learned, I help somebody and I'm like, oh, life is not so bad. This person is going through this or that.
Go to, find a meeting, go do something that just really, you got to get your mind off of yourself and think about what else is, going on, and call a friend, call somebody you haven't talked to in a long time, and then all of a sudden you're thinking of something else. My friend of mine says, don't think horizontally, think vertically.
That's great. That's so true, and we don't think about that sometimes when we're in it, but that's so true.
Yeah, I think it just works. Okay. It's not magic, but it's like gravity. It just works.
It works.
Helps. And even if it's momentarily, I can just stop and go, oh, I'm really grateful that I have foam in my booth and lights that work. And somebody even wants to talk to me. That's cool. And I have a chicken sitting there from Costco that needs to be eaten for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
And I got to make a salad, but I have vegetables. So, you just start thinking gratitude.
Yeah. I have heat in my house. I woke up. That's
Amen,
the first
I'm
one.
breathing.
Yeah, exactly. We're
My
vertical
fingers
today.
are wiggling. That's good.
Speaking of happiness, I saw there's a great quote on your website that you were the voiceover for the millennial. I thought I'd chop that up, but there's something equivalent to that. Is it a happy feeling knowing that you brought so much happiness to kids and that generation growing up?
Yeah, it's great when I go to conventions and meet people and hear their stories. It just blows you away, because when you're doing the work, that 6-year-old watching you is not going to contact you. But when they've grown up and they're 35 and they tell you what you meant to them, it's like, it blows you away. And it really has given my generation of voice actors an appreciation of the audience that I don't think we had when we were working on those shows. Because it's just the process. Your only audience is like your director. And then it goes on the air, and then you don't even know who's watching it or what it means to anybody until, but really, I guess the other advice to people is just understand there are people who are going to take you with them through their whole life. Because nothing goes away.
Thought. Yeah. No, it's out there forever, right? I mean, it's created. So it's, people, and they can share that with their kids. And nowadays, cartoons and shows, they live on, and we introduce our kids to those same shows.
Yeah,
so
now there's Disney Plus, and Gummy Bears is up there now, and Darkwing Duck. So it's cool. So
great. Yeah. All those classics that were really ahead of their time in some ways. I mean, just some of the storylines and the way that it's just so great to be able to take part in that and make people happy.
I'll be at Orlando MegaCon doing Anime After Dark. So we're going to meet people at the MegaCon convention after hours. And I'm really looking forward to meeting people. That's what makes it so fun now, is to meet people face to face. And it's fantastic.
Wow, Katie, you are quite wonderful. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. It's been such an honor to talk to you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I got to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Let's definitely stay in touch, because I would love to work together. That would be great.
Okay, you don't go to my spam anymore.
Okay, yes. Keep me active.
I will try.
Happiness Sold Separately is created and hosted by Jason Hensley and is produced by Makash Films. Narration by Lauren Gobis. If you or someone you know is in crisis and needs immediate help, call the National Mental Health Hotline at 866-903-3787. We would be honored if you would rate, share, and subscribe. From the entire Happiness Sold Separately team, thank you for listening.